All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is Rachel Robbins. My pronouns are she and her. I am one of 3 co-leads of the National Arts, Culture, and Wellbeing Community of Practice, and we are the group that's hosting this panel talk. It's going to feature 4 of our members and the amazing work that they're doing. So across these 4 presentations, you're going to hear examples of how dance, music, and songwriting, and visual art and museum visits can support different populations, allow us to tell our stories, connect with our loved ones in community, and support healing and health. Basically, everything you've been hearing about all day today. And we're presenting our work from the arts and culture sector, advocating for social prescribing because we believe that arts and culture is absolutely integral to holistic well-being. I'm joining you from Toronto, which is the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. And I acknowledge we are all joining today from different locations, which are the traditional territories of many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. I do have 2 links to share with this land acknowledgement. There's one site called Native Land, which is an Indigenous-led site. Vanessa just shared it in the chat. If you don't know about it, it's just a great place to click. It's a map. You can click on it and learn more about where you're living. And also the University of Alberta's Faculty of Native Studies, they have an online course, Indigenous Canada, which Vanessa also just put in the chat, which is a great way to either start or continue your learning journey about Indigenous history in Canada. So those 2 links are in the chat. Again, I'm Rachel. I originally got connected to both the Alliance and this community of practice actually through my former role, which was the Director of Education and Engagement for TO Live. And TO Live is an organization that operates 3 performing arts venues in Toronto. So I supported a social prescribing pilot back in 2018 with the Community Health Center, and then managed various arts and well-being programs and partnerships as part of that job. And now I've since shifted my career. I've gone back to school to become an art therapist, and I'm currently an art psychotherapy graduate student with the Canadian International Institute for Art Therapy. So I'm still working at the intersection of arts and health, still connected with this community of practice, and very excited to be introducing our panelists. So the hat that I'm wearing today, as I said, is one of 3 co-leads. Vanessa on this call and Melissa on this call are the other 2 co-leads, and you'll be hearing from them as panelists. So I'm not actually going to properly introduce them right now. The Community of Practice is a volunteer-run network connecting individuals and organizations across Canada who have a vested interest at the intersection of arts and well-being. And that's the key that's bringing this group together. So originally we were founded to connect representatives mainly in Toronto from arts organizations and community health centers. And now we've broadened to include researchers, link workers, healthcare practitioners across Canada. And one of the key roles that we have is to be a connection to CISP, if anyone was in the 1 o'clock meeting moderated by Sonia. As CISP is broadening their role in Canada and finding either health practitioners interested in arts and culture or arts and culture workers interested in well-being, we're creating this community of practice as a space to hold us and allow us to find each other. It's essentially a networking and connection spot. So if anyone's interested in joining the community of practice, we have a standing meeting that happens every 6 weeks, and we have a shared Google Drive with a contact list where you can find names and emails, and also a shared resource drive. So that's really it. It's quite straightforward right now, and it's just a networking group. But we're going to put our emails in the chat. Again, myself, Vanessa, and Melissa. We are the co-leads. You can reach out to any or all 3 of us if you're interested to join the community of practice. So to our speakers now, the meat of this presentation. Our 4 speakers are going to share a short summary of some of the work that they're doing at the intersection of arts and health. And we do ask that you hold your questions. Everyone has a very packed 10 minutes, and we're going to try to get through all 4 presentations, and then we'll have time at the end for discussion and Q&A, hopefully about 10 minutes. So our first speakers are from Dancing with Parkinson's, founder and executive director Sarah Robichaud, and their director of outreach and engagement, Jessica Dargo Kaplan. So I will throw it over to you both.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting us to speak and tell you a little bit about what we are doing in the community with seniors and those living with Parkinson's disease and their family members and care partners. So I am the founder and executive director of Dancing with Parkinson's, which is a charitable organization that I founded in 2008 with the prime motivation to bring people with Parkinson's disease out of isolation and into an artistic community where they could find some joy in their movement. That was it. I was looking to do a class once a week, offer it for free for those in the Parkinson's community so they could connect with others and really explore their artistry, to have a place to go where they are not a patient, but they are an artist. So since the first day of classes, which is, it was one of those crazy blizzard days, like one of those days when they call in the army days, and they say, do not get on, do not get in your car, do not take the subway. We had 15 people with Parkinson's walking through the door. And that said a lot. What that said was these people were willing to do anything to find a place where they might feel better for a minute or two, that they were willing to try anything, which included leaving their homes in a snowstorm, despite their mobility issues. After that first class, we had another 10 people join the next week, and then another 5 people. And then we couldn't hold everybody in the class. So we added another class and a waiting list. And every time somebody came into the class, they said, oh my gosh, I finally feel like part of something really good. The community that people experienced in the classes led to them being part of a community outside of classes. It led to friendships, it led to connections, it led to trips to the museum, it led to trips to the AGO or out for tea. So over the years, Dancing with Parkinson's grew and grew and grew due to the demand of people with Parkinson's throughout the GTA who wanted to take part in these classes. All the while, it was really important to the integrity of the program and my vision to make sure we enrich the program with as many artistic experiences as possible. And to that, we partnered with the AGO and Koffler Gallery and Luminato and TO Live, always working with top-notch, world-renowned artists coming into our program and doing these experiential workshops, whether it be writing, poetry, art, dance, music. We wanted to infuse the program with this because, again, that led to inspiration for our dancers taking part. That led them to then be inspired to go out into the community and do more and really be someone they never had a chance to be before, despite any sort of limitation they had with their mobility and ability. So things were going along swimmingly, and then COVID hit, and we all closed our doors March 15th, 2020, or March 12th, rather. And after a couple of days of sort of being absolutely depressed and thinking, what am I going to do? The mission of Dancing with Parkinson's is to bring people with Parkinson's out of isolation. And now I'm in isolation. It was the first time we all globally felt the detrimental effects of what isolation feels like. We all felt like we lost the strength, and get up and go in our physicality. There was a lack of motivation. There was an apathy. There was anxiety. There was this sort of complete closing down that happened. All of our moods went down in the tank. Well, that's what seniors who live in rural areas, who can't get around, seniors who don't have access to resources, community, and connection, that's what they feel every day. That's what people with Parkinson's feel every single day. And it was the first time that we all felt it. And so 2 days after we closed our doors, I invited people to join us on Zoom for 20 minutes of a little bit of movement, a little bit of connection. And that was March 15th. And we have not stopped meeting every single day since then. So since March 15th, Dancing with Parkinson's has been offering free dance classes every single day at 11 a.m. And what we did after maybe even just a week of being online is we started inviting all seniors across Canada, because it became very, very clear that seniors in rural areas who couldn't see their families, seniors who were living in long-term care homes and seniors residences, they were most acutely affected by this incredible isolation. So we invited them all to join us. So now we have about 3,000 seniors, those living with Parkinson's disease and not, joining us every single day. about 100 come on in Zoom any given day of the week. And we still infuse the program with all of the artistic experiences that we did while we were in person with all of the partners we had when we were in person. It's been magical. We've also created a salon series where our seniors become mentors and leaders in the community by sharing an experience, a hobby, something that they're interested in with the entire group on a specific day. And then people get a chance to ask questions. We have chat time before and after class. The friendships that are being made, the innovation that is happening amongst the participants, the connection, the word that I hear all the time in these classes. Now remember, most of these thousands of seniors have never met in real life. And the word that you will hear at least 5, 6, 7 times a week when you come to these classes is family. Everybody wants to belong. And what this program does is it makes sure that every single person is welcome. Every single person is welcome with open arms. So they come to dance, and we all know the benefits of exercise and dance. Like, I don't have to go through that with you. But really the benefits of connection to community, to belonging to something, whether it is in person or online, but really feeling like you are part of something, the world opens up. So I just wanted to actually, Arash, if you could show the quick little video, it's a few minutes long, and it kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what we've been up to, and please enjoy.
Without dancing with Parkinson's, I probably wouldn't get up in the morning. So it's inspired me to keep going.
Because one is a very good community. Secondly, it keeps you active.
I could see a huge change in my fluidity and sense of balance because it was every day.
As soon as we start, everything in my system comes up, and then I just keep on dancing. It makes me happy.
There's a problem with coordination. Many people like me have coordination between legs and hands. And this thing also helps you to overcome that discoordination. So far, it has made a difference. And I've also managed to learn a thing or two about ballet.
The dance class has been exceptionally good at helping me limber up over the course of the day. So I come daily.
And we don't feel that we are so far apart. We feel very united, a family, a community, and we care about each other.
I'm not here to tell you how amazing DWP is, though, because we all know that. My message for you today is spread the word. I learned so much from my patients, and what I want all of you to do is not just tell your friends and your family members about how amazing dancing and DWP is. I want you to tell your neurologist. I want you to tell your family doctor. I want you to tell your geriatrician. I want you to tell your physiotherapist.
So that's just a little bit about us, and the most exciting thing is that hopefully we're going to connect with so many of you to find ways to spread the word and to collaborate and to find common synergies.
Sarah, thank you so much. And just so if anyone does have questions, Sarah will be dropping off the call, but Jessica from Dancing with Parkinson's will be staying on with us. So there will still be a representative if you have questions for Dancing with Parkinson's. So next up, we have Vanessa Smith and Alexandra Frank from the Corporation of Roy Thompson Hall and Massey Hall, and they will be talking about such a wonderful program. It's called the Lullaby Project. Over to you.
Thank you so much. So we're here from the Corporation of Massey Hall and Roy Thompson Hall to talk about one of our arts and wellness initiatives, the Lullaby Project. For those of you who don't know and may be located outside of Toronto, the Corporation of Massey Hall and Roy Thompson Hall is a not-for-profit that currently runs two of the more prominent concert halls in downtown Toronto, Massey Hall and Roy Thompson Hall. My name's Vanessa, and I run our education outreach department.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexandra, and I'm the Education and Outreach Associate at the Corporation of Massey Hall and Roy Thompson Hall. And I coordinate some of our youth programs and our community programs, one of which includes the Lullaby Project. So I'm going to start off just by telling you a little bit about the Lullaby Project and how it works. So the Lullaby Project was created by the Weill Institute of Music at Carnegie Hall in New York back in 2012. And since then, it's become an international program with partner organizations around the world running the program. And the way that it works is that parents, either expectant parents or new parents, are matched up with songwriters to write a lullaby together for their child. So the program began here in Toronto at Massey Hall and Roy Thompson Hall in 2017 when we became a partner organization for the Lullaby Project. And since then, 54 lullabies have been written and recorded with mothers from 4 community partners that we work with. So you'll see a list of some of our partners on your screen. The first community partner that we started working with in 2017 was Jessie Center, the June Callwood Center for Young Women. And the majority of early participants in the program were young teenage moms from Jessie Center. And that partnership has continued throughout the years. And in fact, we have new participants from Jessie Center starting again just next month in the Lullaby Project. Then a more recent partnership that started last year is with Dr. Esther Bowie and the Krembil Brain Institute at UHN, which Vanessa will be telling you more about in just a few minutes. Then we also work with participants at Regent Park Community Health Center in Toronto. And another new partner that we started working with also more recently, just earlier this year, is Birthmark, which is an organization of doulas based in Toronto and Hamilton. And 5 of their families have written lullabies with us so far. So we match parents with songwriters based on a number of factors. So the parents will fill out a registration form when they start the program, and we ask them a number of things like what type of music they like, their musical experience and background, but no music experience is necessary to participate. But we try and match them with an artist in a genre of music that they enjoy. And we also look for cultural connections that can be really beneficial for the participant, as well as language. So we've had a number of lullabies written in Spanish now and a few others in other languages as well. Since the pandemic, all of our songwriting sessions have taken place online on Zoom, and the parent and the songwriter usually meet together 5 times for about an hour each time to write their lullaby together. And then luckily, since earlier this year, we have been able to return to in-person recording just since June. So the participant and the songwriter meet at a recording studio in Toronto, along with a team of musicians. And the participant is really involved in what they would like the lullaby to sound like. So they can choose whether it's just guitar or piano, or if they want other instruments. We've had strings and trumpets and a variety of instruments play on the songs. And we really encourage the participant to sing the song themselves on the recording. And most of them do end up singing the song or maybe singing it along together with the songwriter. And the participants can also record a spoken word introduction or dedication at the beginning of the song for their child. So now going on to the next slide, this is just a list of some of the positive effects and benefits that we've seen from parents who have participated in the program so far. So we found that it supports maternal and parental health, as well as strengthening the bond between parents and their children. It also supports healthy child development and creates memories, because this is a song that they'll have forever. They can continue to listen to it and sing it together with their family over the years. And then also maternal empowerment and the fact that these parents get to tell their own story and have their story heard through their own song. So now I'm going to pass things back over to Vanessa.
Thanks, Alexandra. So one of the interesting things that happened when we took this project on was sort of that examination of that penultimate point there about how this program affects the mothers. A lot of the work being done in New York and all over the United States with the partners there, because we were one of the first Canadian partners, was really focusing on how singing affects a baby and how it affects child development and the bond between parent and child that was formed. But partially because we started this partnership with a drop-in center for young mothers, and these mothers were experiencing a number of different vulnerable circumstances, whether it be the stigma associated with being a teen mom, whether it was poverty, whether it was homelessness, all sorts of different things that are happening to many of the young mothers we were working with. By going through this project, the partners at that center were starting to come to us and talking about how much it had affected those participants and the positive impacts we had had when it came to self-esteem and confidence and just the way these young women were carrying themselves. And it became evident how validating it is to have your story heard and then repeated back to you and have this whole team working together to make that beautiful thing for you, as well as then having that memory to carry on with your child. So particularly this effect that this program started to have on those first mothers that we worked with is what's led to our next explorations that we're going into, our further applications of this work that I'm going to be talking about here in this next slide. So this year's project, well, we will continue to work with all of our partners. A lot of our focus is going to be on this new research that we're embarking on with Dr. Esther Buie with the Crumble Brain Institute at University Health Network. Dr. Buie is a neurologist who particularly specializes in working with women with epilepsy. And we've been talking for a few years about how we could use the Lullaby Project with her patients. We started under more of a conventional social prescribing model where she was picking patients who would benefit really well from the project. And we've worked with a few of those at this point. But now we're actually expanding into research. So we are currently in the recruitment phase right now of a research project where we'll be working with 15 pregnant women with epilepsy to study what happens when we use the Lullaby Project as an intervention, of course, all alongside all of their medications and other treatments, and see what kind of a positive effect that can have on these women. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully being able to share the results of that research in the future once we've been able to participate in this process, which has been a really exciting thing to be a part of and to help with scientific research in this way, coming from an arts organization and an arts background. We also then, during the pandemic, expanded this work with older adults. Through a partnership with Amicus Senior Lifestyles, we created a very similar project called Lyrics and Legacies, where we took this idea of songwriting and the impact it can have and started pairing seniors with songwriters to help them write a song about their lives. And we really saw the same positive impact of being able to have your story be heard, validated, written out in this amazing format, have a team of musicians come together and do it, and then now have this piece that you not only have for yourself, but also for your family, which has been really exciting. This is currently only offered through Amica because that is where our funding is coming from, but we are actively seeking funding to be able to expand this project to other locations. And now I would like to tell you, apologies for the knock. Now I would like to tell you a story about one of our participants here. You'll see this young woman on the left. Her name is Shakayla. She participated in our project back in spring of 2018. She's seen here with her daughter Maya and her songwriter Peter Katz. This is the first picture on the left is a picture taken backstage at Massey Hall. Shakayla at the time was a young mom, and Maya was about 3 years old and was experiencing some developmental delays and was actually nonverbal. So Shakayla is not only a young mom balancing all of the things that one balances at about the age of 19, but also she and her partner trying to navigate this and figuring out how to help their daughter. She was a big fan of the artist Ingrid Michaelson, and so she asked Peter if he could write in that kind of style, and he's actually worked with one of her producers, so he was really eager to take that on. And she wanted a song that Maya could dance to because they were communicating a lot through movement at the time. So we not only write a more traditional sounding lullaby, we write in all sorts of genres. Shakayla sung on her song, which was not something she had really done before. So that again contributes to that self-esteem boost that we were talking about earlier. And I'd like to share a snippet of that song with you now. So this is Oh My Maya. If we could play that audio snippet.
This song is dedicated to my beautiful baby Maya. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you, and I am a better person because of you. I promise to be the best mommy I can be. Anything for you, my sunshine. Oh my Maya, oh my Maya, you know I see your light. Oh my Maya, Maya papaya, oh I'm gonna love
That was just a hint of that song. We'll give you the link to go listen to the rest of it, as well as about 50 other lullabies we've done over the years. I spoke to I spoke to Shakayla just last year sometime when we were catching up with some of our past participants. She's gone on to complete post-secondary education, and she and Maya actually still sing the song together almost every night, which is wonderful to hear. So that's the Lullaby Project in a nutshell. If you have questions you'd like to put in the chat, please feel free. And then I know that we'll also be talking at the end to answer any questions. And there's a link there in the chat to go listen to some more lullabies. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Vanessa and Alexandra. And what a beautiful note to end that on. That was just such a beautiful song. Our third speaker today is Melissa Smith, who is the Assistant Curator of Access and Learning for the Art Gallery of Ontario, or AGO. Over to you, Melissa.
Hi, everybody. That was just so beautiful, those two moments, because, you know, we work with one another, but then to really hear speaking about it in more detail, it's really special. And I'll just wait for the presentation to come up to be able to move forward. But one of the things I did want to start with was sort of kind of rep for the museum and gallery folk here. And that's really about thinking about what is the connection to, sorry, and I'm just gonna actually, unfortunately, have to move forward. So anyway, okay. So I just wanted to speak to that because I think that there are really interesting connections around social work in museums. So several authors have described the social role of museums, particularly their importance as agents to increase inclusion and reduce excluding practices across communities by providing environments and processes to re-examine behavior, attitudes, and beliefs. And Lois Silverman, who writes about social work of museums as both a social worker and museum scholar, actually suggests that museums contribute to the pursuit of health and well-being in 5 major ways. So promoting relaxation, an immediate intervention of beneficial change in physiology, emotions, or both, encouraging introspection, which can be beneficial for mental health, fostering education, and acting as social determinants of health, becoming promoters of holistic well-being. So since I'm not able to control the slides, I'm hoping that our tech folks can help. So if you could actually just shift the slide over to the building image, that would be great. Because I do want to acknowledge and share a little bit about the AGO, which is located downtown, and it's the Art Gallery of Ontario. And just one more, please, that would be great. And it's one of the largest art museums in North America, attracting approximately 1 million visitors annually. And the AGO collection is more than 120,000 works of art, ranging from contemporary art to significant works by Indigenous and Canadian artists, European masterpieces, and many special exhibitions. In 2019, the AGO launched a new initiative designed to welcome more folks to the space. And we actually created an admission model where anyone 25 years old and under can get in for free. And then we have a $35 annual pass, which facilitates repeat visits. And also within that, we have a community membership program that I'm also just taking this time to share about, because we really want to support organizations that support their communities. And so we provide those organizations with free AGO membership cards that can be passed out to those orgs, and also tickets if that works better for your community. So we'll go to the next slide, please. So I thought I'd just share a little bit about our mission too, and that's just how we roll as an organization. Really, the AGO leads conversations from Toronto through extraordinary collections, exhibitions, and programs, and by reflecting the people who live here. And our core values are art, audience, and learning. And then if we just want to switch to the next slide, this is where I'm going to acknowledge that I work in the Education and Programming Division of the Art Gallery of Ontario. And the Education and Programming Division is really trying to generate meaningful, experimental, and inclusive experiences connecting people, art, and contemporary ideas. And if we get to that next slide too, that'll be a great place to pause for our methodology and our programming, because I think this actually informs a little bit of our practice and why we feel that coming to that space is a good idea and one that really can support your well-being. And the gallery takes on a constructivist approach to programming in order to centralize the visitor or program participant. And pretty much constructivism accommodates personal meaning making and provides opportunities for visitors to validate and express their own interpretations. This perspective encourages visitors to participate rather than passively receive information. So in the AGO's Access to Art programs, which is a suite of programs that support visitors with perceived or physical barriers to the AGO, staff art educators, or better known as tour guides, facilitate the tours and programs with constructivist techniques, and participants are encouraged to contribute to conversations. We offer on-site and virtual art experiences, including a virtual senior social talk and art making workshop on the second Tuesday of the month, everybody. And you can see the range of programs on the Access to Art page that I'm just about to add to the chat right now. And these sort of change seasonally as well. So we're just ramping up for the release of our winter programs too. To give you a sense of how we facilitate that engagement, I thought I would share just an example of one of the participatory techniques that we call visual thinking strategy. And this was designed by Philip Yenawine, and it was developed alongside psychologist Abigail Housen in the late 1980s. And the VTS technique is a helpful strategy to encourage participants to look more closely at art, which is key. Often people take only 3 to 10 seconds looking at artwork in a museum, and brings aspects of themselves into viewing the experience without feeling judged too. So there's 3 basic questions, and we ask, what's going on in this picture? What do you see that makes you say that? And what more can we find? And participants are asked to look carefully at works of art, talk about what they observe, back up their ideas with what they see, listen to and consider the views of others, and discuss multiple possible interpretations too. And this participatory methodology is meant to create space for participants to think openly, vocally, and socially, using the artworks as inspiration and making their own meaning. So let's shift to the next slide, because this is the meat and the potatoes, because now I'm going to talk a little bit about the program in which we developed a real sort of social prescription element, but also a co-design and co-creation moment. And I really fundamentally believe that programming beyond providing tickets is key to supporting social prescribing. So this is my favorite sort of example. So inspired by facilitating peer-to-peer relationships, South Riverdale Community Health Center and the AGO decided to remove the authoritative role of the museum and prioritize a peer-to-peer co-designed experience with art. We felt that the shared experiences of chronic pain management allowed for more open, relevant, and relational conversations. At the South Riverdale Community Health Center, the Choose Health team needed to create sustainable, creative, and fun ways for people to stay engaged in living their life with long-term health conditions while addressing social isolation. And the AGO wanted to create opportunities for a diverse group of community members to visit, particularly in relation to well-being. So the Choose Health team offers a range of core programs that are peer-led and inspire people to play an active role in their health and well-being. The paid peers learn about, as well as practice, core self-management skills such as goal setting, decision-making, problem solving, while learning that emotional management of symptoms is an integral part of their clinical management. Peers involved in the AGO program were already trained to deliver these core self-management services, and they brought their insight into the AGO program co-design with them. The co-design approach also ensured that peers informed the program design based on lived experience, saw themselves as integral to the service design that emerged, and valued their role as stakeholders in the services offered in this partnership. This is also a way we work to help deconstruct the colonial systems that are inherent in museums. Once we provided the peers with familiarization and conversation facilitation training at the AGO, we took 2 full months to process and consider what we already knew and learned. We provided the peers with tickets to visit the gallery on their own, and then met with the group to discuss how we could co-create a sustainable model. As a group, we decided to focus on a gallery tour and offsite art making workshop at the center, which were run based on a toolkit that the AGO produced to help support this work. We found this was a successful way to encourage art making, responding to the AGO experiences back on home turf too. We took time to finalize the tour experience as well, considering the route, the time, the process for meeting with clients, which looked like having a South Riverdale Community Health Center t-shirt and then a button that said "Ask Me" from the AGO. And we ended up creating a manual for this work, which we added to iteratively as well. Over a 3-year period, we had 85 active repeat participants. We worked in an iterative process and we hosted focus groups of program participants to inform the evolution of the program, as well as sort of like just basic check-ins. And I thought I would share some of the qualitative feedback from you from one of the surveys that we did. In response to the question, please share what you thought about the program at the AGO. Respondents answered, I enjoyed myself, I felt calm and relaxed, I felt comfortable, which is great to hear because there can sometimes be significant barriers to a place like the museum. And one of the things we know from research is that people feel like they need to come equipped with art historical knowledge, or some people don't know what to wear. So this was great to read. And then in response to please share feedback about your group facilitator, the respondents shared that they treated me with dignity and respect, met me and made me feel welcome, and helped me feel comfortable at the gallery. Again, another significant win because we wanted to identify the space as something that could be a part of your own self-directed well-being. Over the pandemic, we shifted to virtual art talks, still peer-led, with artwork images provided by the AGO, and we're looking forward to starting on-site visits again in the new year. So for me, working in partnership with the CHCs to develop programs that work best for their communities continues with sites like East GTA, where we co-created a program for youth that involves sending out art kits, and the Rexdale CHC that included phone call art talks with description and art kits as well. And we truly feel that by co-designing processes that are determined by people who use the services, we have found that we have promoted agency and created inclusive spaces and access for people who otherwise might not have considered or experienced the well-being benefits of cultural spaces like the AGO before. And I'll just ask us to go to the final slide just because it's kind of my favorite, but also I just want to leave you with a little more information about the impact of art, which is why I believe so strongly in access to art and in social prescription to cultural sites. Studies have shown that specifically for visual art, that creativity has wide-ranging positive impacts on well-being. And Heather Stuckey and Jeremy Nobel wrote engagement with artistic activities, either as an observer of the creative efforts of others or as an initiator of their own creative efforts, can enhance mood, emotions, and other psychological states. So, I mean, it's almost like we gotta. So thank you everybody for listening.
Mel, thank you so much. And to end on that note, that's literally what I'm studying in school right now, which is making me so excited to get all of this information to be able to explain why the work that we do is so integral. We're going to move to our final speaker. I am personally so excited to hear more about your work, Lucy. Lucy Beaudry, who is at the University of Quebec in Montreal, and is a professor, dancer, artist, and many, many other things. So Lucy, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I think someone will share my PowerPoint on the screen. So today I've chosen to talk about a series of dance and teledance research projects conducted in different phases of stroke recovery. Okay, so let's look at these projects very briefly. For example, in the acute phase of stroke, which corresponds to the first 7 days or so after the stroke, we've proposed dance and somatic practice at the bedside of patients in the intensive care unit while they were in bed or in a wheelchair. With gentle movement to music, effects have been perceived on stress and anxiety, on emotional functions, on motivation, and on muscular relaxation. During the subacute phase of rehabilitation, comprised during the first 3 months after stroke, group dance were performed in the hospital, both in person and via video conferencing. In the face-to-face group format, the main perceived effects were again on emotional functions and motivation, on self-efficacy, social interactions, balance, walking and gait, with very, very few reported drawbacks on fatigue. In the online modality offered in the hospital room with computers and wireless headphones, The main perceived effects were on emotional and motivational functions again, and it also broke isolation. To take this online format a step further in the subacute phase of stroke, we are about to start a new project proposing dance through a repertoire of 10-minute video vignettes with specific rehabilitation themes and different levels of difficulty to create personalized programs of at least 30 minutes to be done 4 times a week by each participating patient with an iPad in their hospital room. Sorry for that. So for the chronic phase of stroke, I'm currently involved in a teledance project that aims to develop a dance version of an existing program, the GRASP, to address motivational issues associated with this well-known program. This project is based on a combination of online group dance once a week and video content to practice every other day at home, 1 hour per day. So from the acute to the chronic phase of stroke, all of our dance projects have sought to meet the rehabilitation needs by designing their content from a continuum of care perspective. We design these contents according to each of the recovery phases. And in the case of teledance and the use of technology, we thought of introducing teledance at the hospital as it could provide an opportunity to learn how to use it and thus facilitate practice once back at home. What is important to emphasize here is that in order to eventually include dance in such a continuum of care, it is essential to ensure that dance content is relevant to each stroke phase. So the dance itself, the simple pleasure of dancing may generate benefits, and some would say that this is enough to make dance relevant in such a context. That said, pleasure and artistry do not ensure safety nor complementarity. And in a context like stroke rehab, it was very important not to go against what was being done in therapy, or we would have lost the support of clinicians. So we needed to ensure safety and complementarity to offer relevant dance content. In our different projects, this relevance could only result from a co-development work, result from an encounter with different disciplines. We have worked with several professionals and clinicians to build on knowledge from vascular neurologists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, and even speech-language therapists. Co-development processes can be based on different steps and phases, just like Melissa talked about a little bit earlier. But there are some basic steps that we applied. First, getting a sense of what the context and the clientele was and what the needs were through some knowledge acquisition, through some research. We then consulted professionals and therapists and learned from their practice, including by observing them at work. In our projects, their practice inspired new ways of creating and guiding movement, and it helped to develop preliminary dance content proposals that we could then validate or invalidate with them. It was very important not to be afraid to get constructive feedback from them. Such test sessions also allowed them to learn from our dance practice, and it became possible to find creative solutions to anticipated problems altogether. And of course, we listened to the participants themselves as we could learn a lot from their input. Such adaptation and preparation does not make dance any less creative or artistic. Rather, it aims to maximize its relevance and create new dance practices based on science and disciplinary knowledge. This can help to increase the value of our proposals which in turn can only encourage their prescription. In conclusion, I would like to address the challenge of replicability. I don't want to put anyone off here by introducing this term. I know very well that it is a sensitive subject when it comes to artistic practices. But the issue that comes with replicability is in fact the description of the interventions and programs being proposed in clinical context. So I could also have put the term description on that slide. What do we do? How and why do we do it? Describing such content appears essential to ensure sustainability and facilitate implementation. When we talk about replicability, we should not think in terms of copy-paste, but rather in terms of logic. What is the logic behind our proposals? What guidelines can be reinvested in other similar projects and contexts? A description of our practices is essential to knowledge transfer and mobilization, and the development of social prescribing can only benefit from a better description of our initiatives. It is a complex task, though. What descriptive tool can we use? I asked myself this question while trying to describe some dense content. I don't claim to have the solution here, but I have tried to adapt an existing descriptive tool used in the health domain, a checklist aiming to detail different aspects of an intervention or a program. A description that could also include some audio and video content. The point I want to make here is that there's a lot of work to be done to describe and document our initiatives in an accessible way, to share the knowledge and produced, and the content developed for the benefit of communities and society, and potentially for the benefit of social prescribing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lucy. And we have just under 10 minutes for some questions. I am going to just repeat in the chat all of the links and information that has been sent through this presentation, so everyone has that in one spot. So that should be in the chat. Feel free to unmute yourself, or if you want to throw a question in the chat for any of the 4 presenters, I'm happy to read that out for everybody. Always takes a little minute.
Well, we bombarded everyone with a lot of information.
That was a lot, and we had all very jam-packed 10 minutes. So that, I know that was a lot. And yeah, go ahead. Was that a question? Nope. Nope. Okay, never mind. Yeah, and it is the end of the day after a very long digital conference. And yeah, there are some emails in the chat as well. So after some of this sinks in, feel free to reach out to any of us with questions or ideas for collaboration, things like that. That's why we're here today, right? Like that's what's so beautiful about bringing us all together. Absolutely pumped. Me too, Maria. Thank you so much for this and all of your time from the panel. Make sure, panel, you hear that. Feel the thank you, feel the appreciation.
And
Awesome.
I might just reiterate too, like we are, like particularly myself at the AGO, but we are really keen to hear from you because as we said, being able to partner and create programming with you is super important. So feel free to reach out. For real though.
For real. All right. I don't know off the top of my head what's next. Is there anyone here from the Alliance that wants to give a little segue into what's next at the conference or where people should go from here? Back to Hubilo? What's it called? The platform? Maria says, oh yeah, Maria says, we'll be in touch. I'm based in New Brunswick, lived in the UK for 5 years and returned to school for OT for this purpose. Amazing. Thank you for sharing, Maria.